something's going on with our medical system. And it doesn't speak well of the medical system. There are so many just utterly God-filled, beautiful people who work in healthcare. And a majority of my family worked in healthcare or government service, but healthcare largely. And I hate these segments because I do not want people who work in healthcare to feel that we're trying to talk about all of them. We're talking about a system. Systems break. And people working within the system sometimes see how broken they are, sometimes they don't. I want you to imagine a situation. You have been told that your loved one is brain dead. Now, that would be horrific enough. There they are in this hospital bed. Now you have to have this discussion about a do not resuscitate order. Have you ever had that discussion? My sister and my mom and I had a discussion about our dad, my dad and my mom's ex-husband. And my sister and I came to the conclusion that, yeah, we're going to have to do a DNR. It's what Dad would want. So we made that decision. And signing a piece of paper that says, do not attempt to rescue my dad's life if he has a cardiac arrest or something like that. That's a hard thing. But it's what Dad would have wanted at that point. So you have to make this decision. And you're in this hospital room. And there's your loved one. And they're breathing. And their body's warm. And their eyes may be open or closed, but they move. But the doctors say they're brain dead. And so you finally make the decision, the horrible decision to, yeah, it's time. Let's let the person go to the Lord. And the doctors are there to harvest their organs. Now, this happens before the person has died. They're beginning this process before the person is dead. They're brain dead, mind you. But then let's say you notice something. Your loved one starts to cry and shake as they're talking about harvesting its organs. This happened. And I want you to hear and see the media report on this, and then to have an opportunity to see what life is like for this guy who made it through this. But there's something deeply, deeply wrong with a system that so easily says, yeah, let's go ahead and begin harvesting when the body's still alive. Now, it's not necessarily a life-threatening thing, but it's a key difference. You can have a situation where a person could recover fully and completely from something like an MCL or an ACL injury or a rotator cuff injury or a back injury or even something catastrophic like having been hit by a car and ending up with a traumatic brain injury or a spinal cord injury. You could have a situation like that where there is an actual cure. It doesn't involve cutting into you. It doesn't involve the risks of that, because anytime surgeons cut through muscle or tendon, there's a risk. There's infection risk, then there's the long recovery, then there's the body integrity afterwards. There could be, and there are cases where everything you're being told that you must do isn't true. Because in this country, we burn utterly miraculous cures called stem cells. So they come from umbilical cords and they come from placentas. That's what Renew.Healthcare uses, period. Never anything to do with aborted babies. In this country, those things are burned as medical waste. But what are they? They're cells that are designed to build baby, to build muscle, cartilage, tendon, and they also fight inflammation. In Mexico at Renew.Healthcare, they have these stem cells. They pay to get these stem cells by paying for the birth process of women. They only take the best stem cells, then they culture them so that when you go down, instead of getting cut open, they inject these cells into you, sometimes 42 million at a time. They instantly just destroy inflammation. And then there's that miraculous building capability. They accelerate healing. And oftentimes, it lets people avoid surgery altogether. And you can find out. They'll tell you what percentage chance there is they can help you. Go to Renew.Healthcare. Please tell them you're part of the Todd Herman Show family, be it on podcasts, YouTube, radio shows, Renew.Healthcare. And they will look at your medical records and they'll get on a conference call with you, and they'll tell you if they can help you and what percentage chance of success they foresee. It's renew.healthcare. Now, this wasn't going to help this man because of what he'd been through and how sick he was. So he went into the doctors, he went into the hospital, was pronounced brain dead. Watch part of or all of this local news report.
All I had was my gut instinct for 3 years that something wasn't what we were told.
On October 25th, 2021, Donna Rohr's brother, Anthony Thomas, TJ Hoover II, was admitted to Baptist Health Richmond's emergency room. He was experiencing cardiac arrest and deemed code blue.
We were told, their testing they did, that there wasn't reflexes, he had no reflexes, there was no brain activity, no brain waves.
The following day, Rohr's family decided to remove TJ from life support. That's when they were told he was a registered organ donor. To honor his wishes, the next 2 days were spent testing TJ's organs to see what was viable, including a cardiac catheterization to test his heart.
And during his honor walk, his eyes started opening up, and we kind of, he was tracking, his eyes were tracking, looking around. And we were told, by the ICU supervisor that it was just reflexes. It was just a normal thing.
TJ was then taken into the organ retrieval surgery.
Probably about an hour into, they come out and got us, and the doctor did, and told us that he wasn't ready, that he had woke up. But we also hadn't been told that during his heart catheterization that morning that he woke up then. And because if we'd have known that, then clearly we would have known he wasn't brain dead.
Rohr was told to take TJ home and make him comfortable, as he wouldn't live long.
So apparently during part of this process, he was crying and he was shaking. Signs to me that the man is alive. Now, there's something deeply, deeply wrong when the commitment to the organ harvesting overcomes skepticism that, hey, this isn't right. Is it really a common reflex that people cry when they're undergoing stress like this? TJ is home. They are making him uncomfortable as he learns to feed himself again and to walk again.
God is in this story. God is in the details.
And this is him sitting in a wheelchair, taking nutrition, drinking at the table.
You want to tell him thank you for the hat while you're flipping
Laying
him
in his
off?
bed.
Yeah.
Had I got on,
Yeah.
I'm happy. It's starting.
Trying to stand up. He is standing up, but he's having trouble.
I don't know what is happening, but I like it.
I don't know what is happening, but I like it. God values human life to such a degree that he came here and he went through the process of being human. He experienced, you think the things that he sacrificed. He sacrificed his deity. He allowed himself to be a little baby dependent on human beings. And ultimately, you know where he went on the cross. He valued human life enough to create it. He values it enough to say, you shall not murder. He values it enough to tell us that no greater love has man than to lay down his life for a brother so that your brother might live. It'd be a good thing for hospitals in these circumstances to stop and consider again that it's not a number, it's not organs, it's a life started by God. His breath breathed into us. It'd be good for them to consider before they pull the plug on this, on what you're actually pulling the plug on, which was a decision God made to animate that person, to give them that life, and to understand that when you unplug it, you better make sure that you're square with God, because that life actually belongs to God Almighty. And I don't think you want to be in the business of stealing life from God. But maybe that's just me.